What's up YouTube, Dell here from Zephyr, and today, continuing the budget themes thanks to the Megatins 2023, I am bringing you an updated Dinomorphia profile that will cost you no more than $100, maybe even a lot less than that. So with all of that out of the way, please smash that like button, hit that notification bell and subscribe. All these profiles are going to be leading up to a Red Dragon Archfiend budget profile thanks to the new structure decks as well. So with all of that out of the way, I'm going to dive headfirst into profile, show you what we've got and explain why we've got it. So you start off with triple Dinomorphia for easier. Now, of course, this has been reprinted in the Megatins. You can pick these up for like £2 a copy, if that. This is your most important main deck monster for the art type, purely because on normal or special, you get to set a Dinomorphia trap directly from the deck to your spell and trap zone. So the only thing that really stops it is Imperm and Veiler. Ash, no go. They all have additional effects as well. So this one is, if this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you get to banish a trap card from your graveyard to special summon a level 4 or lower Dinomorphia monster from your graveyard, except itself. Now the only issue with that is at the moment we only have one other Dinomorphia, and that is of course Diplos. So we're going to be playing 2 Diplos. Again, it's got a nice little bit of a rarity upgrade. Went from a common to a super, but you can pick it up as a common should you want to. So this one is, if it is normal or special, you get to send a Dinomorphia card from your deck to the graveyard. Then if your life points are 2,000 or less, inflict 500 damage to your opponent. Now, you've got to kind of keep in mind with this, that the whole idea behind the deck is you pay a lot of life points. Like, you halve your life points down to like minimum 50, just so that your Rexstrom and your opponent's board is completely negated. The issue is, and what I found about this a lot, is your Sword Soul is your worst matchup, because I'll just go, okay, cool, long one in hand, burn you for 1,200, oh, long one in graveyard, burn you for 1,200, you're like... But the deck is still incredibly fun and very, very powerful. As it is a Dino deck, we are playing the one miscellaneous. Whether you search this because you've already got Freesia, what makes it really kind of cool is it just gives you that blanket protection for your Freesia, and that allows you to resolve that. Also, during your opponent's turn, you can hold it back to protect your Rexstrom if your opponent's trying to like imperm it or negate it or turn it off in some way or another. Then I'm just going to carry through the Dinomorphias, then I'll go through the hand traps and then the generic spells and traps in the deck. So again, a card that got reprinted in the Megatins, of course, is Dinomorphia Domain. So it's pretty much a 2-card combo, because, well, not a 2-card combo, it's like a 1-card route, but you need to go through technically the 2 to give you a strong enough Rexstrom. So Domain lets you, during the main phase, pay a half your life points to fusion summon a Dinomorphia fusion monster from your extra deck, using monsters from your hand, deck, or field as material. When your opponent activates a card or effect while your life points are 2,000 or less, you get to banish this card from the graveyard. You take no effect damage from your opponent's card effects this turn. So obviously Domain, the idea behind that is you're trying to fusion summon. Sometimes you're going to Kentagina, sometimes you're going to Rexstrom. But when you're making your life points 4,000, to make Rexstrom effective, you kind of want to get your life points down to at least 2,000. And that's where Frenzy comes in. And I really wish Frenzy had got an upgrade to Secret, because the artwork is absolutely amazing. So during your opponent's main phase, you pay half your life points to fusion summon a Dinomorphia monster from your extra deck, using only 1 monster from your deck and 1 from your extra deck as fusion material. When your opponent activates a card or effect while your life points are 2,000 or less, you get to banish this card from your graveyard. You take no effect damage. So the idea is you want to be activating something like Domain or Frenzy and then go into the other one, because you go into Kentagina, and then Kentagina has, during the main phase, quick effect, you pay half your life points and banish 1 Dinomorphia normal trap card. This effect becomes that trap card's effect. So either Domain or Frenzy. Ideally, Frenzy is going to be your better option, because it will put you a Dinomorphia fusion monster into your graveyard for your Rexstrom. So the other is you go Frenzy, you'll send any Dinomorphia fusion monster and then a Dinomorphia monster and go into Kentagina. Then Kentagina can then use her effect, banishing from the graveyard to go into a Rexstrom, and that's what's going to really give you the idea to have your board like this, and your life points are going to be at 2,000. Then the idea is you can use Rexstrom's effect, half your life points again, you're now at 1,000, which means if your opponent's got anything of 1,000 or more attack on the board, they are completely negated. So that's why the deck's so good. The only issue with the deck is, number 1, is very heavy control, so you really, really want to be going first, which is why I've built the deck to have quite a few board breakers. On the flip side of that as well, your strongest cards pay your life points as cost, and then they are open up to stuff like Ashes, because they send from deck. So if the opponent knows how to play against Dinomorphias, they're probably going to save your Ashes for these cards anyway. We've then got three of the most recent new addition to the deck, and that's Dinomorphia Intact. So this one is basically just a counter trap that when a monster effect is activated while you control a Dinomorphia card, you pay half your life points, you negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that monster. Also, whenever you take battle damage this turn, the damage taken becomes half your life points at that time. During damage calculation, when your life points are 2,000 or less, if you would take battle damage, why battle damage? You can banish this card from the graveyard, you take no battle damage from that battle. So, kind of a really kind of cool card. I would have wished that it can negate spells and traps, but then we already had spells and traps in the form of Sonic, which you play one Sonic, one Brute, and one Alert. Now, these are completely up to you. This one's the only one that I would say you have to play. So this is when your opponent activates a spell or trap card while you control Dinomorphia, you pay half your life points, negate the activation, and destroy it. Brute is you pay half your life points, you destroy a Dinomorphia monster you control and one card your opponent controls. And then Alert is you pay half your life points, you special summon up to 2 Dinomorphia monsters from your graveyard whose total levels equal 8 or less. So the good thing about that is you can bring back your Kentagina, you can bring back your Rextrum. It really does depend on what you're trying to go for. Then for the hand traps, obviously format dependent, local dependent, you change it up as you see fit. But I've gone with triple Ash Blossom. I've gone with a small bestial engine of the 1 Druid Swarm, 1 Baldrake, and 2 Magnemute. Again, all of these were reprinted. If your locals does not get affected by this at all, then you change it out. But I highly expect going forward that Unchained is going to be quite hyped in a lot of areas. So you could very easily consider Daruma Cannon. You do need to be pretty careful because Rage and Yama are insanely powerful. Like linking with your stuff can be a little bit annoying, and also being able to constantly revive from the graveyard can be annoying with Yama as well. So that's why Magnemutes or the Bestials are pretty cool for the deck as well. Just being able to snipe those cards out of the graveyard can be very, very valuable. So it's entirely up to you. These can be more board breakers, they can be more trap cards. Heck, they could even be part of Extravagance if you wanted to go down that route. 2 Nibiru and triple Imperm just as a form of go first, go second, and then a go second option to help you board break. Speaking of board breaking, I did decide to go with 2 Super Polys in the main. Again, entirely up to you. I am playing Duality. Some people do also play Gozen Match or Rivalry if you go a little bit more pure. You can go a little bit more Gozen when you're playing the Bestials because they're all darks anyway. The reason I went with Super Poly is even though I'm playing Duality, and we're talking about Pot of Duality, just to skip ahead to that one. The idea is that going, like in your early turns, going first, you're just going to normal summon the Freesia, attempt to set a card, activate Duality to give it more backup, and then go from there. Whereas just being able to get into a Super Poly, you can set this. And what you need to be careful of is if your opponent does stop your board, turn the board off, negate the board, you name it, you have a crack back in the form of Super Poly. On top of that as well, one thing you can deal with, because you will struggle against something like evenly matched, Lightning Storms can be a little bit painful as well, is you can actually, more so evenly matched than anything, but what you can do is you can play Lost World in the deck, you can put it into the side deck, side it in, and then the idea is you activate Lost World, normal summon Freesia, give your opponent a token, so not only can you go chaining 1 Freesia, chaining 2 the token, or the field spell, but by giving your opponent that token, you know you're not getting even lead unless they clear that token off. So that's kind of a core option to help you naturally protect against evenly matched, which can be very, very damaging for the board as well. They're all dinos, so triple Fossil Dig, which means you've got 4 access to Mixc, you've got 6 accesses to Freesia, and 5 to Diplos if you want to. And then Solemn Judgment, entirely up to you, but what makes this so good is you're constantly paying half your life points, so these will always be live, whereas if you're playing something like Strike or Cosmic Cyclone or Warning, you have to have X amount of life points to pay, whereas this one just constantly keep halving your life points for you, making it a lot easier for Dinomorphias to get to that 1,000 or less life points. Now there is another track card that I did see, and it came out in Maze of Memories, I believe. And it's a track card that lets you special summon a Zark from your extra deck by paying half your life points. I thought that was kind of a cool option. I didn't own any. I didn't even know it existed until I saw it. So if you're like a Zark fan as well, basically what it lets you do is it lets you special summon Zark from the extra deck, ignoring its summoning conditions, and then you can banish the track card from the graveyard, destroy the Zark, and then special summon out the beasts from the extra, or the other dragons from the extra deck. So I thought that was kind of like a little neat tech, but for me, it really wasn't. I obviously didn't have it, so I wasn't going to be able to put it in the profile. Yeah, so the idea is, and you've got to be quite careful with your Dinomorphias, is like I said, you pay half your life points as well, so you really need to know exactly what you're doing, because I guarantee you, when you're playing a deck that can get you down to 50 life points, your opponent might go a little bit slower than usual, is all I'm saying. So you do need to be very, very careful and know exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it. Especially going into game 3, you have to like change your strategy up a little bit, because as soon as you activate one of your trap cards, that's it. It's going to put your opponent in such an advantage. Even if they can't break your board, you're going to have to move as fast as you can. Moving on to the extra deck, you've got a lot of space in this, which is why you could technically play extra if you wanted to. If you wanted to upgrade the main deck as well, you could play Trio Tactics Thrust, which is another direct access to any of your trap cards, or your normal trap cards specifically. And you could also play Pot Prosperity, but I think Duality does the job just as well. Triple Rexstrom, so this is obviously your main one you want to go to. Your opponent cannot activate the effects of monsters they control that have attack greater than or equal to your life points. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. Quick effect, you can pay half your life points. The attack of all monsters your opponent controls become equal to your life points until the end of this turn. And then if this card is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you get to special summon a level 6 or lower Dinomorphia monster from your graveyard. Triple Kentagino, we've already talked about this one. This is the one that is going to allow you to pretty much double fusion, which is why she's so important. Double Stealthberg, so Bergia. This one just gives you a bit of nice protection. So this one is while your life points are 2,000 or less, you do not pay life points to activate trap cards or Dinomorphia monster effects. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. When your opponent activates a monster effect, quick effect, you get to inflict damage to your opponent equal to that monster's original attack. If this card is destroyed by a battle or card effect, you get to special summon a level 4 or lower Dinomorphia from your graveyard. And then just generic rank 4, so you got Dolka, can very easily be laggier, but I thought it'd be quite funny to show off the Drenosaurus Giga Cannon. So when a dinosaur monster destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you detach a material from this card, you inflict 1,000 damage to your opponent, then this card gains 1,000 attack. If this XYZ summon card is destroyed, you get to target one card in the field and destroy it, and if you do, inflict 1,000 damage. You can only use this effect, so the pop and burn of Giga Cannon once per turn, but the first effect is not once per turn. So if you've got, for example, Rexstrom and Kentagina on the board, Kentagina attacks, destroys, Giga Cannon gains 1,000, burns your opponent for 1,000. Rexstrom attacks, destroys, effective Giga Cannon, burn for 1,000, gain 1,000, swinging for 4,000 damage. So Giga Cannon on itself is going to be able to do 6,200 damage directly. So all you need to do is find that other 1,800 damage off of the back of your Kentagina or Rexstrom attacking, and you're in a very good position. Last one is Baguska. If you just get hand trapped to death, and there are times when you will be able to get 2 level 4s to the board, you can just sit and be defensive. Remember as well, late game, if you do have a Misk in the graveyard, Misk can balance itself plus 3 other dinos to bring out a level 4 from the deck. So keep that in mind. And then our super poly targets, Mud Dragon, Dracus Depelia, Starving Venom, and Gorura, which got another nice reprint. Now, if you were to play the Zark engine, of course, this is the Zark card straight away. So there's your 4 Zark pieces. And then you can take out, pretty much cut Kentagina down to 2 if you wanted to play the Zark. I think it's a like really kind of cool tech, but for me, like I said, I didn't have the access to the trap card, and I haven't tested it enough to prove it. Anyway, this is pretty much it for the profile. Very, very powerful. Definitely a rogue deck. I feel the issue is that it just burns itself so far down on life points that considering it's a control deck as well, you have to control very, very fast, because if your opponent wants to, they can not play slower, but they can just grind the game out until they get into a position where it's like, right, okay, cool, scoop this up, I've got time. Now Dinomorphia can't play, they're going to be at a disadvantage because they're not going to want to activate their life points, and then they can swing in for game. But I hope you enjoyed this. Again, I think the Megatins have given us some really kind of cool deck cores that can be rebuilt on a very tidy budget and still compete. Obviously, some of them are going to compete more than others when you look at stuff like Labyrinths and Exosisters, but I feel all of them have got their own different kind of style. Exosisters is like a control XYZ deck. Dinomorphia is a control fusion deck. So you've got dinos and spellcasters. And then when you look at Labyrinths, obviously Labyrinths is a out and out control deck. And then you look at Scareclaw, which is a very cool OTK link deck. So I definitely will be bringing you that deck as well. I'm just waiting for a couple of pieces to turn up, and I'll be able to profile the deck for you as well. But for now, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, share. Any questions at all, by all means, please put them in the comments down below. I will be more than happy to answer them for you. But for now, as absolutely always, stay safe, and of course, happy dueling.